It was raining the way it rains in old Kyoto, not loudly, but endlessly. A thin, cold drizzle that turned the world into ink. Moss drank it like a sponge, cedar trees held it in their needles, and the stone path of a small hillside temple became dark and glossy, like a river that forgot to move. Every morning, a young monk named Kenji swept that path, not because it would stay clean, but because the act of sweeping kept his mind from becoming a mess. The broom made a soft sound over wet stone. Shh, shh. A bell rang once inside the temple. A crow answered from somewhere in the mist, and Kenji walked the path the same way he always did, barely looking down, because a path is meant to be used. That day, the rain was heavier. Kenji reached the old stone steps leading to the main hall. They were uneven stones, weathered, cracked, softened by thousands of years of footsteps. Visitors stepped on them without thinking. Some stepped gently, some stepped with muddy shoes, and Kenji stepped on them too. He had done it so often the stones felt invisible, until he noticed something. A small piece of fresh stone dust, pale and clean, resting on one of the dark steps. Stone dust meant only one thing. Someone was carving nearby. Kenji followed the path toward the side garden where the temple kept its tools and broken things. Behind a wooden screen, an old stonemason sat under an awning, protected from the rain. His hands were thick, his sleeves were rolled up, and beside him was a block of granite, cold, gray, and silent, being shaped into a Buddha statue. The mason raised his chisel. Clink! He struck. Clack! Stone flakes fell like pale petals onto the wet ground. Kenji watched for a moment, hypnotized by the rhythm. Then, quietly, strangely, he felt a thought arrive in his mind. Not his thought, a different voice, tired, bitter, as if it had been waiting for someone to finally listen. Kenji looked back toward the stone steps, and in the hush of rain, he imagined the stepping stone speaking. Stepping stone in Kenji's mind. Why do they walk on me, but bow to him? Kenji blinked. He looked at the half-formed statue, calm face, eyes lowered, mouth soft with peace. Then he looked at the wet, bruised stones under his feet. He could almost feel their resentment. Stepping stone, we were born from the same mountain. We are the same stone. But he will sit in a hall with incense and lanterns, and I will stay here under mud and souls. They touch him with clean hands. They touch me with their dirt. Kenji's grip tightened on his broom. He knew the monk's teaching, do not cling to praise, do not cling to blame. But the stepping stone's bitterness felt human. Kenji glanced at the mason again. The statue stone remained silent, but Kenji felt another voice rise, deeper, calmer, not proud, not offended, just clear. They don't bow to me. They bow to what they hope they can become. The stepping stone seemed to flinch. Stepping stone, easy to say from a pedestal. You will be polished. You will be admired. You will be called sacred. The statue stone answered with something that didn't feel like comfort. It felt like iron. You think I was shaped for beauty. I was broken for form. A drop of rain slid down the statue's unfinished cheek like a tear. Kenji watched a mason lift the chisel again. Clink! The sound carried through the mist like a heartbeat.
The stepping stone went quiet for a moment. Then it asked, almost like a child, "How many cuts?" The statue stone replied without hesitation, Enough to kill the stone I used to be. Kenji swallowed. He watched the mason's hands. They were not gentle. They were precise. A small mistake could crack the whole block. The statue stone continued. I was laid down to be useful. I was carved to be visible. Both have a price. The stepping stone's voice lowered, almost ashamed. Then why do I still feel less? The statue stone was quiet. Rain tapped the roof above the awning. Then it said, because you think being noticed is the same as being valuable. That line landed in Kenji's chest. He looked back at the path again. Visitors came and reminded each other to watch their steps. The stones guided them without asking for thanks, without asking for recognition. The stepping stone spoke again, softer now. But you will be honored. The statue stone answered, do not envy me too quickly. You will carry people forward. I will only watch them pray and leave. Kenji felt the truth of it. The statue would sit still for decades, centuries, forever admired and forever unmoving. The stepping stone, meanwhile, would be stepped on, yes, but it would also touch real life. Every trembling knee, every hesitant foot, every person arriving broken and leaving a little lighter. Kenji looked down at the stone path again. In the rain it was almost beautiful, dark, patient, enduring, and he realized something uncomfortable. The stepping stone wasn't suffering because it was stepped on. It was suffering because it was comparing itself to a ghost image of higher. The mason suddenly paused. He set the chisel down. He touched the stone's surface with 2 fingers as if listening. Then he spoke, quietly, not to Kenji and not to the stone, maybe to the rain. Good. This one will hold. Kenji felt a chill, because that was the real test, not whether the stone was admired, but whether it could hold the shape, hold the weight, hold time. Kenji turned back toward the steps. The stepping stone asked one last question, almost surrender. So what should I do? The statue stone answered, stop asking why they don't bow. Start asking what your life is supporting. Kenji exhaled slowly, and for the first time he did something strange. He stopped. Rain ran off his sleeves. The main hall was only a few steps away, the place where people bowed to the Buddha. But Kenji turned first and bowed to the stepping stone beneath his feet. Not as a performance, as a correction, as if he was saying, I see you. He rose and walked into the hall. The bell hummed low, and the stones outside, wet and silent, held the temple exactly as they always had, without complaint, without envy, just steady. Because in the end, it was never about choosing the higher role. It was about seeing clearly. One was carved to be looked at. One was laid down to be walked on. And the only question that mattered was not which you became, but whether you could carry your role without letting comparison poison it.